Welcome back to the Tide Hanger. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about Ollie's, Ross, TJ Maxx, and all those discounter places that are out there. And is it over? Are the good deals gone? Are the heyday we saw over the holidays, is that gone for good? Will that come back? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about this. I'm kind of going to discuss how it's a little bit harder going forward to get the deals that we saw, and our expectations are set really high and we're about to be disappointed. But I'm going to go through all of this, and I do feel like I went 2 years, the vast majority of 2020, 2021, part of 2022, finding nothing at my Ross's or Ollie's, and I just kind of quit going for a while. But this last phase we went through got me excited, but I think my expectations are too high. Yours are probably too high, but let's talk about this coming up. We really have come off of one of the most amazing, wild holiday rides when it comes to these discounters. I have not seen anything like this in a long time. Even in the 08, 09 to 2012 era where there was tons of clearance, it wasn't as good or as deep as we just saw this past holiday season. Now, the first thing I want to say is the holiday season has come and it's also gone. Now, this is an Ollie's right here getting wiped out after the holiday season, while we still see Walmart's stocked full because they weren't marking their stuff down. And the discounters are the ones that are making the money. They're selling the product. They're moving it through because they're selling it at low prices. And people are really jumping on those $5 figures. But when you look at Ollie's, you look at Ross, you see how they're starting to get wiped out. These places are getting wiped out, and you're not seeing the new restock coming in. I've seen a couple of things that weren't there 2 weeks ago show up, but it's very few, very far between. You're not seeing the Viper 3-packs for G.I. Joe Classified stacked 12 deep. In fact, I've never seen one in a Ross, and I've gone to about 7 of them multiple times, still never saw a Viper 3-pack. But those good old days are behind us. We might see a little more of that in the future, but it probably won't be to that level. I really will tell you why I think it's that way. So the first reason why I think it's going to be a challenge going forward to find new product that we don't already have, not this old worn out stuff we've already been seeing on clearance, but new product going to clearance or going to Ollie's and Ross for $5. Well, because Target already is on top of their clearances. They are clearancing their product 2 or 3 months after they get it, which is actually a very fast clearance cycle. You think about, you get a new figure on the shelf and a couple months later it's on sale or they've clearanced it out to get ready for the next wave, which I think is a great way for a retailer to do it. But then it gets you kind of playing that clearance chicken with the retail outlet and playing with fire and possibly missing it. But that is a good thing that they clear the old out, even though it's only 2 months old. Out with the old, in with the new, and that's one thing that we see. Now, Target's been doing a way better job than Walmart. Now, I got some older pictures because I've got a nice catalog of these pictures, but Walmart is really holding on tight to a lot of this almost 2-year-old product that they just don't want to get rid of. They just don't want to put it on sale or clearance it out, which is really a shocker. And even some of the things like this Snake Eyes and Timber 2-pack that is already been clearanced down to $15 on their own website on Walmart.com, but the stores still aren't clearancing them out. Now you get some one-off stores clearancing them out, but as a whole system-wide, they're not getting clearanced out. So Walmart's late to the game. I think Walmart will do some really heavy discounting either in April or closer to June, and that's when they start doing the really deep clearances and discounts and wiping it all out and getting through it. But it almost seems like they don't care if they get new product. They can just sit, as long as that peg has something on it, they're happy to have something on the peg, whether it sells or not. And that's really a bad thing for Walmart. But I do see some changes coming for that pretty soon. But some of this back stock in the warehouse could end up at Ollie's, but I bet Walmart will clearance through it. So the next thing I want to say is that at Hasbro and Mattel, I believe they are both cutting production, deep cuts to production. So they're going to be making new figures, but they're going to be making less of them. Now, I bring this one up as an example. I looked online, and you could get this pretty much everywhere. You could get it at the BBTS. You can get it probably Entertainment Earth. You can get it at Target.com, probably Walmart.com. So there's a lot of places you can buy Mutton Junkyard, full price, $45. And it's a pretty awesome figure, actually. That's a pretty great set that they put out. But start noticing, once these newer figures show up with the clear, the bubble's back, the plastic is back, then I believe that those are made in smaller quantities. Now, I also believe that anything that's deluxe, this deluxe pricing, has a much lower demand. Plus, people don't want to troop build this guy, so he is very easy to get, but I do feel like he's produced in much lower quantities, and all of the ones with the clear windows going forward, like Big Boa and that whole wave, much lower quantities, in my opinion. Also, I'm starting to notice stuff like, I don't really pay attention to Marvel, but the Crystar wave is going to be clear packaging, a clear window, and I really want to get a handful of Crystars. I got some pre-ordered, but I would like to see one in a store. It'd be nice. It'd just be fun. I'd buy it. But I haven't seen it show up in any of the stores. Now, I'm hearing they're starting to show up at, I think, GameStops or something. But this is one that I feel like they're not producing very heavily. This is one that seems to be hard to get your hands on. And some people are saying that it's possibly just like more of an online kind of exclusive, but if it's showing up in GameStop stores, then it's not an online exclusive. So it's still one of those things that this feels like it's hard to get. I know that BBTS is sold out of Crystars, and Entertainment Earth keeps saying that they're coming in, but they're almost sold out, is what they keep sending emails that allude to that. But is this proof that they're cutting production pretty deep, even in the Marvel area? And it makes a lot of sense. They're cutting production so that they don't have an excess glut on the market that doesn't sell at full price, and so they don't have to go to clearance at the Walmarts and Targets, and so that it doesn't go to Ross and Ollie's. And this is part of a cycle. We see this all the time, a boom and bust cycle. Well, we're in the bust right now when it comes to toy collecting, and the interest in toy collecting. The bust going on right now means lower production numbers and less stuff showing up. Less opportunity for buyers to buy from Ollie's, TJ Maxx, and Ross, and all those places. It's also starting to look like Ollie's wants to buy more toys. They don't look at toys as just a Christmas thing and then we're just going to go to everything else. They want to year-round get new toys in, and it seems like the buyers are really hunting for something out there, and they're taking whatever they can get. Now, this Warriors of Krynn, I don't really know much about it. Tabletop game or something along those lines. I don't really know about that aspect of Dungeons & Dragons. I was hoping for Wave 2, and there was a big talk about their flyer coming out. Their flyer's going to have Dungeons & Dragons on it, and nobody knows if it's Wave 2 or if it's more movie figures. Well, it turns out to be this, and it's not really moving that fast in their stores. And really, the people that wanted the Dungeons & Dragons figures got them, and that's that. So this stuff is really sitting, and this is going to rot. But they've done the same thing with Masters Universe stuff. They bought a ton of Masters Universe stuff 2 years ago, and it's just sitting. It was a year and a half ago, something along those lines, but it's still there, years later, sitting. And they're going to do the same thing, I guess, with this. And it's kind of a take what they can get kind of scenario. Now I want to start talking about something I'm seeing at Ross, which I thought was really strange, and I'm not even sure if I covered it in my news, but I'm starting to notice that we're seeing Ross clearancing their stuff out. Now, I want to start by saying a lot of stuff that Ross gets in is cheaper than the Ollie's price. So their Star Wars Black Series figures came in at $4 or $6, $6, while Ollie's was asking $10. And that doesn't sound like a big deal, but then you add in them knocking like 20 or 25% off of the already discounted price, and you get to see this right here. I don't know how good of a picture this is. You're seeing all this, but you're seeing figures as cheap as $3 and some deluxe $25 Transformers down to $5.49, and then you're seeing some just drastic markdowns on these things. And of course, it moves pretty quick once they do that. But I very seldom ever see Ross putting their already cheap stuff, already 70% off the normal price, on clearance. So that's a big sign to me that there's probably not a whole lot more coming anyway, but they're getting rid of this stuff, and only a few things show up here and there. Now, I have to admit, I really am spoiled for buying modern stuff, especially at retail. When you see these kinds of clearances from $32 down to $9.89, And it's really hard to buy something at full retail and, well, get upset 3 months later when it's on clearance. One thing that I'm doing a couple things. If I buy it at retail, I keep my receipt. And if I find it cheaper, I can always take it back with that original receipt, depending. If you have a red card at Target, then I think you get up to 90 days to return your item with your receipt. So that's one thing that I'm doing. But the other thing I'm doing is pre-ordering it from BBTS. So you got 90 days till you have to ship your item. And in that time frame, if I find something at the store cheaper, like this, then I can always just cancel it before it ships from BBTS. And I've done that with about 8 items. Now, I'm not saying I'm doing that with every single thing I order from them, but I've done it with about 8. But I feel like we're starting to hit a wall now that the product isn't showing up as quickly and easily, and it's not showing up on sale. And so maybe to save $1, I don't know if it's really worth it to cancel the BBTS orders just to save $1. But that's something I'm doing, saving my receipts, and then I order from BBTS because they make it easy to cancel if you find it cheaper somewhere else. And that's what I'm doing right now. And I feel like that's what I'm going to do going forward, especially through 2024. And I do suggest that if you see something that you feel like you can't live without, then you go ahead and pick it up if you see it, because I feel like things are being produced in much smaller quantities. Take this new wave. This is the crossover Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles He-Man. Not for me. And I really am not that into it. And I thought it was kind of cool when I was looking at it when it was there. The next day it's gone. Haven't seen it again. And I just kind of did a small road trip. Looked at, I think, 4 Targets. None of them had it. None of them had the standard wave. They just had the deluxe mouse jaw, which seems to ship like 6 in a case. The other ones are 1 per case. So obviously they sell it faster. So my point is, if you see something that you really want and you feel like you can't live without, then you might want to grab it when you see it, because you might not see it again unless you just order it offline. So I'm curious what everybody else thinks. Do you believe that the Ollie's and Ross and TJ Maxx, all those deals are behind us? Are we not going to see the high level of product for really low prices anytime soon? Or are we just in a lull and it's going to fire back up in the summer? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Take care, hang around.